Welcome back to Magic in the Muck, a soul's compass for change. I am so glad that you're here. In last week's episode, we were exploring the east of the soul compass, that place of beginnings, of dreams, of visions, and endless possibilities, infinite possibilities. We talked about how vision isn't about clinging tightly to one rigid picture of the future, but about staying open to the unexpected, to sparks of curiosity, and to what life might want to offer us. Today, I want to continue with this theme of the East by sharing a story from my conversation with the award-winning artist, writer, and entrepreneur Janna Willoughby-Lohr from Buffalo, New York. Janna's journey is a really beautiful example of this openness, of following what lights you up even when it doesn't fit neatly into the plan. From her discovery of bookmaking and papermaking to weaving creativity into music and art, and transforming grief into something powerful and healing, Janna's story reminds us about what's possible when we allow vision to be alive rather than fixed. So, let's step into this conversation together and explore how staying open to possibility can shape not just our work, but our healing and our lives. Here's my conversation with Janna Willoughby-Lohr. So, Janna, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so curious, before we dive in, what is sparking joy in your life these days?
Continuing to have clients who want me to make magical things for them, and seeing my crazy kids doing goofy things always brings me joy, and performing. I love performing. So
I love that. You know, there's something about kids, about creating, about performing, that even though it's not about ignoring what's going on in the world, but it's about transcending and just finding a deeper purpose in what's going on.
And we have an opportunity to build a world that is better.
Yeah. So I love, your whole call to action, inspiring positive change through persistence, passion, and purpose. So what is lighting your fire to keep you moving forward?
Currently right now playing music with my band and getting ourselves back up to snuff. We had to change our lineup a little bit. We've been playing together for a really long time, and we're just really excited to be able to bring our music back out into the world this summer and play some more shows. And
what do you play?
I sing, rap, and play the trumpet.
I love it. I think music is so essential for healing at all levels. And so to partake in it, to listen to it, to create it, I love that.
We make a lot of music that is kind of political, social action music, and we have for almost 2 decades. And
I love that.
Excited to bring them back out into the world, and so we've been doing a lot of practice.
So, what does persistence mean to you, and especially when life is messy and uncertain?
My willingness to keep going. I've been through a lot in my life, and I think the minute that I went away to college really was like the first step in starting to live a life that was just for me. My mom had a lot of chronic illnesses, and prior to leaving for college, I think I was 14 or 15 when I first realized that I was probably going to be like her parent for the rest of her life. And I had, I was taking care of her. I was, responsible for making sure that she was okay. And she said, you need to go and take this opportunity and go away to college. And all of a sudden it was like, I don't have to do that anymore. It was weird.
How did you manage through that? Because that's a big transition.
I felt really guilty, but I was also like so excited that for the first time in my life, I had, this is my room and I can keep it however I want, and I can do these things that are just for me. And, in some ways I was disconnected from the reality that she was still back at home. When I got to go away to college, I was like, most people go to college and they're like, what should I study to get a job? And I was like, what should I study that's fun? I initially was there on a creative writing scholarship, and I had been doing slam poetry and toured a little bit to go and do poetry slam competitions and feature readings and things like that. So I was like, oh, cool, I get to be on this creative writing scholarship. I'm going to major in creative writing, and I'll be a slam poet and tour around the country, and that's what I'm going to do. And then I got to the school, and I realized they didn't have a creative writing major. They had an English lit major.
Oh, that's a little different.
And I was like, I don't want to be an English professor. I don't want to read Chaucer. I don't want to read Milton. So I looked at the course catalog, and I saw that they had an entire book arts department. And it had like paper making and bookbinding and printmaking. And it's like, I didn't even know that you could take classes.
I didn't know that either until just this moment.
Right? And I didn't know that they had that at this tiny little school that I went to. I mean, it was so small, 800 students total in the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. It was gorgeous. And I was the only person from Buffalo who was at school there too. So it was like everyone was a stranger, and I got to start all over, and it was amazing. And I took all of these bookbinding classes. I took a class called Artist Books and Illustration and learned about that art form, where the form, the design, the materials, the illustrations, the words, like what it sounds like when it opens, what it feels like when it opens, they all work together to make a bigger concept or a bigger idea, like a full body art experience. And I was like, that's exactly the way I could take these poems I've been writing and make them into something that can affect people who don't get poetry, who think they don't get poetry because they're visual people or they're tactile people, right? Like, how can I make this into something that is an experience instead of hearing something, seeing something, touching something?
Wow.
All those things.
Moving from 2 to 3 to 40 and beyond. That's
right. I saw these books and I learned how to make them, and I was like, this is the coolest. And then the next semester I took paper making, and the first time that I put my arms in that giant 5-gallon bucket full of paper pulp up to my elbows, I was like, oh yeah, that's my jam. Like, I have done this in the past life. Like, I know how to work with this material. I already know how to do this. And at the end of that year, I met with my advisor and I said, hey, these are all the classes I took. What major am I working toward? And he said, those are all elective, so nothing.
Wow.
And I was like, shit, I'm here on a scholarship. I can't do 5 years. And it's a long time ago. You couldn't take unlimited student loans. It was like, I'm not going to qualify to pay any of these back, and they won't give them to me. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now?
And yet you found your passion. Like, you love doing this.
Right. I was like, this is it.
You're majoring in your major. You're majoring in your passion. But
and he easily could have said, like, you screwed up. You should major in communication. Suck it up, whatever.
Right.
But I happened to go to this weird little hippy dippy school where the teachers typically taught class without shoes on, and we're like, oh, after class I'm having tea on my porch, come over.
I love that.
Very different kind of place. And instead of saying go major in communications, he said, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to be an artist and I don't want to be broke. How do I do that?
What a great question and a great response.
And he's like, you should do that as your major. And so I ended up taking an integrative studies major, and I put entrepreneurial business and creative art together as one course of study and spent the rest of my 4 years figuring out how to make money with art. Put an entire section in the major about social work, because that really is the key that separates successful artists from unsuccessful artists, is knowing how to work with and communicate with people.
Exactly.
So I technically was sort of majoring in communications in a little bit, but also integrating it into art and integrating art into business.
And how to use your art to communicate with people and how...
and how to use that art to help other people communicate.
Yeah.
Because most people, I talked about this in one of those other episodes, say, like, most people in the world do not have emotional language. They don't have it. No, their parents didn't have it. Their grandparents didn't have it. And nobody ever told them how to say this feeling is this word.
Yeah. Especially some languages in the world don't have emotional feeling vocabulary in their language. So to express it is...
Right. And so there's a lot of people who are afraid to express things, but there's a vast majority of people who just simply don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
They have these huge, big feelings and they don't know how to express them. And what happens? It shows up in some pretty wild and crazy ways that usually are not so good. And I think that's my favorite thing about making art the way that I do, is that it helps people say things they don't know how to say. And I hear people saying things that they don't even realize they're saying. And I help them, make that into something tangible. I give them the words to express those feelings. And it's the coolest.
That's so cool. So how have your experiences as an artist, an entrepreneur, and a mother, how have all of that shaped your sense of purpose?
Oh, man. It still goes way back to when I was in college, long before I was ever a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I had made up this major and I was, on my merry way, taking my classes, doing my thing, taking whatever I wanted to take and adding it in together and sort of figuring out how I wanted to monetize the different aspects of my creativity that I like to do. How am I going to add in poetry? How am I going to add in music? I love this paper stuff, blah, blah. I hadn't quite figured out exactly how I was doing that. And 3 weeks into my junior year, my mom died on Friday the 13th. And I was going to school almost 900 miles away. And she didn't have a will. And I inherited a house that was falling apart all the way back in Buffalo. And I was responsible to take care of it, but didn't actually own it because her will was in the ether. So I took the Greyhound bus back and forth a lot to go to housing court and meet lawyers and do all this stuff and try to figure out how to keep this house from falling down and deal with grief and deal with trauma and do all of this and somehow still keep going to school full time.
What did you find? You had to dig deep for that. What resources within yourself did you discover?
At first, I had a teacher in school. He was my Buddhism and America teacher. Of course, that's the classes I took. And I asked him right after my mom died, before I even went home, I said, this feeling that I have right now, does it ever go away? And he said, no, you just get used to the way that it sucks. And having somebody tell it to me straight like that, it doesn't go away. Another friend of mine who had lost his dad when he was 13, he ended up saying to me one day when we got together, and he's like, so how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm okay. And he's like, you're not okay. And that's okay. And I've been where you're at. And when you decide that you're ready to not be okay, I'll be that person.
It's okay to not be okay. Though it doesn't go away, but maybe my relationship with the feeling changes over time.
Having someone in my life to say that to me, even though I wasn't in a place to agree that I was not okay. I was still trying to pretend I was a superhero at the time, but having somebody say, I'm that person, and then really truly be there for me when I did hit that wall. And I was like, oh no, it's very much real now and I am not okay. Having somebody can drop their whole life and be there for me in that capacity, it changed the way I think about other people. I had always been so independent and I was the person that didn't rock the boat. I didn't cause any problems for people. I was always like, it's cool, whatever, telling a joke when things are this or whatever. And all of a sudden it was just like, I am a different person. Now I have that giant gaping hole that is open to the world, right? And 4 months after that happened, I had gone home for winter break, sort of dealt with lawyers, did the thing, kind of put myself back together, processed some grief with that friend, and went back to school for the next semester, even though it would have been easier to stay home, live in my house that I owned, and take the bus to the local college. I knew that my mom would be so pissed if I gave up on my dream of this crazy major that I made up. She thought it was the coolest thing. She had found this school for me. She got me that scholarship to go there. And I was like, she would be livid if I gave this up to stay home and wallow over her. That's not what she wants. And she was very spiritual and very religious, but not pushy about it. And she was always teaching us that, in general, the only rule you need to live by in life is don't be a dick to other people. That's it. It's the basis of all religion.
And so if you're not a dick to other people, what are you? What are you instead?
Kind take care of each other. We are all one.
Yes.
We are all the same. Energy's never created or destroyed. It changes from one form to another forever.
It just transforms.
When you really embody that and can physically feel that the energy that made someone else live, like when they die, it doesn't go away. It goes out over the entire universe. And it seeks, like you can call that energy up when you need it. And the minute that my mom died, there was like 700 acres on fire in the around where I went to college. Mm-hmm. It was like huge. It was smoky every day. And the minute that she died, I didn't know that she died, but I was sitting on the porch of my dorm, and all of a sudden, like, I got goosebumps, like, all over my body, like, on my face, my hair was standing up, like, everything. And I was like, man, there is some crazy energy out right now. And I ran around the porch and told all the other people out there, I was like, I don't know what it is. There is something tremendous out there. And that's the only word I could hear in my head was like, tremendous. And I was like, it's out there. I was like taking all these huge deep breaths and trying to like really hold on to it. And then the sky opened up and it started pouring.
Wow.
And I went to bed and my phone rang at 4:00 in the morning, and I picked it up and I heard my brother on the other end, and I said, I know.
You knew.
I know.
Yeah.
She's right here.
Wow.
And so, after that, I felt a lot closer to her because she wasn't stuck in her body anymore. She was with me, and I knew that she would want me to go back.
Yeah. I love that you listened to that too, that you knew, and that driving force that you listened.
Yep. And I went back to school, and I got there on a Saturday afternoon. I went to sleep. I woke up at 4:00 in the morning and the dorm was on fire.
The dorm was? Wow.
Yeah. And within 4 hours, the entire building burnt to the ground on her birthday.
So that's not just little subtle whispers. That's like outright.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, where is the cancer in the bus that's coming to hit me? Like, I'm waiting. First, my mom dies on Friday the 13th, and then all my shit burns in a fire on her birthday, the day before the new semester starts, when I'm like, I'm ready to have a fresh start. Like, oh, here's your fresh start.
Here's that fresh start. Maybe you didn't specify your order exactly when you say fresh start.
Right?
Yeah.
Having it happen on her birthday and knowing how spiritually connected she was, I was like, this is not a coincidence. She wants me to learn something from this.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be her 55th birthday, and 5 has always been my lucky number. Mm-hmm. And so one lucky was obvious. Me and everyone else that was in that building when it was on fire got out alive, which is amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
But the other thing, 3 days later, it just hit me. I looked at my roommate and I was like, dude, all of our shit burnt up. And I started laughing, and she started laughing, and we were rolling around on the ground like a bunch of insane people. And I was like, we lost all our shit, and it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
And we still have our lives keeping us warm. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
It doesn't make you an unsuccessful person to not have a sweet car. It doesn't make you an unsuccessful person to not have a nice purse, right? Like,
that's
what makes you important is how you affect change in other people.
That is
how you
such
take
an
care
important
of other people. Right? That's it. That's it.
Yeah. But how does your art and poetry help process grief, trauma? Let's bring it back to art and poetry, helping to process, because what you're saying is so important.
I mean, in a lot of ways, because I do have that emotional language, I can name a lot of what I feel, and I can tell those in a way where I'm not afraid to be vulnerable with people. I'm not afraid of those big ass feelings. And when I write them down and share them with people, whether it's performing at an event, playing music, or writing an Instagram post, or writing a book, or whatever, when I share them out in the world and other people read them, and all of a sudden, click, they start to have that language.
Yeah. It's almost like you're shining a light or a mirror, or like you expressing your authentic experiences, allowing for others to resonate or turn a light bulb on, or maybe express themselves.
Yeah. And I mean, right after my mom died and the fire happened, I started making all these artist books about those experiences and about grief and trauma and my relationship with my mom and the things that I'd learned from her, the things that I was learning about how the stuff doesn't matter. And this is, this is what's really important in life, is connecting with other people and helping them communicate. And celebrating with the people that you love. And I started doing these show and tell events with these books and reading them to people and telling people about them and actually showing them how do they open and all that, making that experience happen. And people would come up to me afterwards and they would cry. And they would say, I'm not the same person that I was before I saw that. I'm different. I'm going to go change my major. I'm going to start writing a book. I'm going to pick up my guitar. I'm going to, go to archaeology school because that's what I really love, whatever. And that I could inspire change in other people that way. I didn't realize that that was possible in the same way before I kind of accidentally started doing it. And making that art and sharing it literally saved me when I had nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's why my business is called Papercraft Miracles.
I love that. And I don't believe it was any accident that you got involved with that. It was absolutely in your soul's path, your soul's journey to be doing this. So if you could send a message for our listeners who are just starting to navigate their creative path through the muck, what message would you like to give to them?
It goes back to what that teacher told me. That feeling it never goes away. And I try to never be that kind of person who says everything happens for a reason, because sometimes it's like, there is no reason for this, but there's always something to be learned from all the things that happen to you. And whether it's teaching yourself a new way to come back to life. I mean, for me, that's the most interesting thing about humans, that we figure out ways to come back to life. And like the people who have the biggest scars sometimes hide them, most of the time hide them.
Yeah.
But for me, I think the scars are so interesting. It's like they hold on and rebuild at the same time. They're so strong.
They tell a story, and the fact is a story of survival and the resilience and the resources that are needed to survive through some pretty horrible things. So I really appreciate what you're saying about finding magic in the muck. And like you said, keep at it, keep moving through it and find those glimmers of magic. Okay. I want to thank you for your inspiring words and for sharing your journey with us. And for the listeners wanting to connect or support your work, where can we find you online?
They can find me at my website at papercraftmiracles.com. And I just released a course to teach other artists how to start businesses that actually make money. And you can get that at papercraftmiracles.com/course.
Awesome. I will be putting all this in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
I really enjoyed my conversation with Janna. We had this conversation. We got to connect at Potapalooza back in June. Her story reminds us that vision is not a single straight path. It's a living, breathing process, and one that invites us to stay open, to notice the sparks of curiosity and to follow them, even if they lead somewhere unexpected, to pursue our passions and our creativity and turn it into magic. So I want to leave you with this reflection. Where in your life are you being invited to release a rigid vision and open yourself to new possibilities? What small desire or whisper of curiosity could you follow this week, just to see what unfolds? I want to thank you for joining me here on Magic in the Muck. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with someone who might need a reminder that beginnings don't have to be perfect. They just need to be open. And as always, remember that even here, even now, there is magic in the muck. Until next time, thank you and be well. Thank you for being here with me on Magic in the Muck. If today stirred something in you and you're ready to walk this path more deeply, I invite you to join the Soul Compass Circle, a journey of reflection, connection, and soul-aligned living. You don't have to do this alone. Just visit the link in the show notes to step into the circle. I look forward to meeting you there.
I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we're honored to have Jennifer Nagels
Show Magic in the Muck as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift vault. Stay high vibe and keep sharing your light.